Good morning. Welcome to Three Questions With. Got my friend Brian Frohn with us. Brian is a leadership coach. Brian, good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
So, Brian, you have an interesting topic today. You want to talk about journaling. I have a lot of friends that love journaling. They're like, I can get my thoughts out of my head. I'm able to go back and read it and understand why I made decisions when I made them. Why don't we start at the beginning? What is journaling for someone who may not be familiar with the concept?
Yeah, no, I love journaling. It's one of my morning routines that I really wouldn't give up. I mean, after coffee, journaling is there as a mainstay. To me, it's just writing down your thoughts. It's about exploring what's going on kind of inside you and being really honest about what you're feeling and experiencing and writing it. And I like writing it instead of typing it. I think it's important to actually have that. I use a digital pad, but it has a pen. So I think just the sort of physical nature of writing it. And to me, it's a real exploration. It's a practice. It helps me practice self-awareness, which to me is so important in leadership and so important in how we show up. But really, for me, self-awareness is mostly about being aware of what's going on inside, because that's what drives what comes on outside. So if you can really tap into what's going on, like I'm feeling really angry about this thing that maybe I'm embarrassed to even talk about. You can be honest with yourself in your journal and really start to tease out what's going on there. And so for me, it's a little bit of kind of a self-coaching exercise. You're kind of with yourself, asking yourself questions. There's a lot of prompts I use in journaling, which I could talk about as well. And really, the third thing I think journaling really provides is that intentionality. It helps me be intentional about today or this week of what's really important, what's not important, what's not working, what is working, and kind of really working that out for myself.
Okay, you opened that question for me, so I want to take it. I'm about the prompts because people hear that, they're like, that's kind of good to get that reflection going, but they might not know where to start. So give me a couple of the prompts that you use. You mentioned them, but just so people can hear it again. Okay, now I know how to journal. What would be the prompts people should look for?
Yeah, I think the prompts are so important. And everybody's going to have different prompts and challenge. Try to find new questions to ask myself, but it's really questions that are going to lead to that discovery, such as, what are some things I'm doing to make things harder for myself? I might pick an area and say, what am I doing that might be getting in my own way? I might ask myself, what are some things I might be hung up on here? What are some attachments that might be underneath this anger, frustration, concern, or whatever? I like to ask myself, what is working for me right now? Like, what are the things that are going on in my life that are working that I can kind of lean into some more? And similarly, I ask myself, what isn't working for you right now, Ryan? Like, what's not doing it? And I could be honest, my corporate job or my boss or my own impression of how I feel about something. And really just trying to drill into what is going on there, getting to the root of the issue for me just helps in that self-awareness and helps me be more intentional. Those are some of the prompts I use. In addition, I'll mention this. I learned from Marshall Goldsmith, the executive coach, I've got a scoring. I kind of score myself on some dimensions I've laid out for myself. So every day I'll say, how am I doing? How's my relationship with my daughters? How's my exercising? Am I drinking enough water? Whatever the things are that I'm trying to focus on. And I kind of give myself an honest score. Like, oh, not too good. I kind of, didn't exercise for a few days. That's something I want to kind of keep in mind and just prompt myself to give myself a score on some of the things that are important.
I really like that last tip because we all do it. We get busy in one aspect of our lives. Oh, like we were just talking, I have to grade today. That's a priority. But when I'm grading, I'm not working on my business. So sometimes I focus too much in one area, and something as simple as keeping a score would make me go, hey, it's been 2 or 3 days since you've done what exercise and whatever it may be. You got to get back focused because it's easy to let things slip if you're not focusing, right?
Exactly. And I want to mention, it's important that sometimes I spend 5 minutes doing this. Sometimes it's 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be a lot. So it's just about sort of spending a little time checking in with yourself on what's important for you. And I keep mine locked. It's my own sort of space. I can be honest with myself. So yeah, it doesn't have to take a lot of time, but it helps you sort of check in on what's going on and what you might want to refocus yourself a bit or dial into certain areas.
That really does make sense and stuff. But this seems like a really great thing for leaders to do because it could just simply be, am I doing a good job mentoring Brian? I know what Brian's needs are. Have I been there for Brian this week? Because I know as a leader, I've gone through periods where I'm just super busy and people are counting on me to help them. And I'm like, Brian, there's no nice way to say this. Your problem right now is not a priority for me. I have other things but as soon as that comes out of my mouth, I look at Brian, he's like, wow, wow. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's true, but I know it's not what you want to hear. So this can kind of help us focus on, all aspects of leadership and not just what may be important in the moment, right?
Yeah, I think it's so important. I see so many leaders, and including myself, struggling with things that are, um, habitual attachments or issues that we're hung up on, or maybe overly focused on, to your point, or maybe trying to do too many things. And this stuff can really come out of journalism, and you can kind of be honest with yourself, almost like you're in with a coach or a therapist, but you're in your own world, and it really translates into better leadership because of the self-awareness, the exercise of developing more self-awareness. And we all hear about self-awareness and how important it is, because when you're aware of what's going on here, then you're able to come out with your externally as your best self. And that, of course, leads to better leadership, which leads to performance. So it's all about becoming a better leader for your business and your team, and driving improved performance. And I think this is a really important tool. It is for me, and I know a lot of people, to use to help do that.
I really like that, Brian, because if you're not fortunate enough to have a coach or maybe even a therapist, there's those things that are holding us back, and we may not just feel comfortable talking about it. Hey, I'm a business owner and I'm facing this major challenge. Going, hey, everyone, if I don't get this answer right, we may not all have jobs 3 weeks from now. You can't go out and announce that to your company because everyone else is going to be like, oh my God, I may be unemployed in 3 weeks. So being able to write this and, like I said, keep it where you feel it's safe so no one else is reading it, it just helps get that out of your system, right?
Yeah, exactly. It can help you kind of work through some really important things that you might not have anyone else to talk to about it. No, exactly. And that's I think the key is really hitting those real important things inside of you that you don't have anyone to talk to necessarily, or you're not ready to do that. And using these prompts and these questions. And I think what's really it helps you separate yourself from yourself. Your emotions and your thoughts are not who you are. They're kind of inside of you, a part of you. So you can now have kind of an experience of you're kind of experiencing yourself from a step back a little bit, which is also very healthy when observing your own internal thoughts and emotions.
The last thing you mentioned that I just wanted to pick up on for a second, I liked how you spoke about the importance of your relationship with your daughters and your family. Sometimes as business owners, we're so focused on being successful that we forget about our family. And soon it ends up being a problem. I like how you put that in. That's important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at my list, it has nothing to do with business or revenue, business goals. It really doesn't, because those are ever changing, and those are strategies you use in business and in your life. But for me, it's the core, the foundational things that really provide you the strength to be good at those other things. So my family, my own, health and mental health, physical health, spiritual health, the people that are important to me in my life. Those are the things that I'm focused on, sleep and water and exercise and journaling and meditation and my relationships, because that's going to build and provide the foundation for me then to work on the strategies, which are always changing. And those are things you do in your day job.
So, Brian, what's the best way for people to reach out to if they have more questions about this?
Yeah, no, it's great to, I have a website, stoicexecutive.com. That's the name of my business, Stoic Executive. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And you can email me as well at brian.frohn@stoicexecutive.com.
Brian, appreciate you taking a few moments to call into the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.